We're back, everybody, on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS. It's the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John.
AM-1220. Wow, that was good, Peter. Thanks for that. All right, we've got breaking news. Apparently, there's a gentleman at the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Station. Man apparently walked in the lobby and threatened himself with bodily harm, and then he left. They're still working it as an active investigation. Preliminary reports indicate the man was pulled over during a traffic stop nearby the station shortly after he left. So you should probably avoid the area surrounding Valencia Boulevard and Citrus and Valencia if at all possible.
Around the mall.
Around the mall area, yeah.
Probably lots of traffic.
Lots of traffic. Who knows what's going on with that guy. Hopefully things work out very well.
All right, everybody, we're talking to Steve Petzold, a concerned citizen for Santa Clarita, very involved in the community, who is very active in the No on S measure. All
right, so Steve, we're breaking this down a little bit. So there's a Yes on S banner ad getting people to vote for the billboards on Santa Clarita television.
I'd like to clarify something. It was during, if you were watching, and I don't recall this, if you were watching the city council meetings involving Measure S on SCV TV, was the banner ad showing? Do we know that?
Yes, I have the picture that I have is a Yes on S banner ad over the city council proceedings with a big picture of Dante Acosta.
Interesting.
So
that's almost a story in and of itself.
And they mix SCV News with SCV TV, and I can't get a straight scoop out of the city as to whether they consider to be SCV News to be part of the PEG agreement, the PEG channel.
Now,
but that's really irrelevant to the fact that the value of this was not claimed by YesS on their Form 460.
All right, so let me ask you a question. You mentioned a PEG agreement. Can you explain to us kind of what that means?
Well, on your cable bill, if you have Time Warner or ATT Uverse, those companies used to have public access channels.
Right.
They wanted to get rid of those, so what they did is they put a bill, they charged you for it, and then they bundle up that money, and then they give it to the city, and then the city contracts with SCV TV, in our case, to provide those services to the community for public education and government affairs.
Okay. So it looks...
And that amounts to $50,000. So last year, $50,000 went from the city to SCV TV to provide contracted services subject to the management services agreement.
Okay, now hang on a second. Just so I'm clear, because I want to make sure I understand this. That $50,000 is actually funded by the cable companies, though, right? So it's kind of a pass-through?
By the city.
I thought, did the cable companies...
It's a pass-through.
It's a pass-through.
From the city. The cable companies give it to the city, I guess, and then the city contracts with SCV TV to provide that service.
All right. That's what I wanted to make sure. So then the Yes on S people got free advertising is basically what we're saying.
That's what it appears like. I'm very careful to not make accusations which aren't formed in fact, but I've gone through all the documents, and while I can tell you how much they paid to KHTS and to the Signal, there's no line item that would correspond to SCV TV.
Okay. But it did show the other expenditures they did for advertising.
Yeah, Facebook, $650. I think $3,000 to KHTS, about $7,000 to the Signal for advertising and promotion in those publications. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it was a battle, but what I do have a potential problem with is why is the PEG channel not listed as providing the service? As you might note in the article, I made an attempt to contact the management at SCV TV and was told via email that there might be an invoice laying on our desk here someplace.
Yeah.
Well, we are 90 days past the election date, my friend.
Yeah, and for clarification, the Gazette reporter who did the story also contacted SCV TV, and they declined to comment. So we did want to give them an opportunity to voice their opinion on this.
So the real problem is that they were provided a benefit that they should have disclosed or at least been billed.
Again, this was YesS. I mean, I guess theoretically it would be possible that YesS did not know that banner ads were running on SCV TV.
That's a good point, too.
I don't know what the response will be, but to get an answer, and the city attorney said, well, if Mr. Petzold is really concerned about this, he'll file a complaint with the Fair Political Practices Commission
right.
in California. Let me tell you,
FEC.
that organization is underfunded. The politicians do not go out of their way to staff up that facility.
Why not?
Yeah, come on. I think the chickens.
Leave your name and number. We'll call you right back. I've been waiting for I don't know how long now.
Yeah, I think the chickens should fund the foxes for guarding the hen house. I think that makes perfect sense. So this is going to be kind of an interesting scenario where it's conceivable that the Yes on S people got a benefit that should have been declared that wasn't.
If they knew about it.
If they knew about it. That's fair.
Right. Now, the name of it is the Sutton Law Firm, so I don't know if Doug has...
No relation.
Yeah.
Okay, because these are the top dogs in political lawyering in the state of California, based out of San Francisco. They got the best.
So, Steve, let me ask you, do you happen... I would guess this would be speculation and opinion on your part. Maybe, John, you know this. If they were given free advertising, if you will, is that against the law in this case?
The most that we can hope for, I think, is maybe a slap on the hand to YesS. And again, I don't know that I can't put a direct link to that they knew that the banner ads were there.
Yeah.
They can't declare, maybe, but there's no expense.
But
there's
Steve,
no accrued expense.
Steve, even if they didn't know they were there, but they were there, let's just say the TV station decided on their own to put them up there because they believed in the cause.
Well, then they're in violation of item number 5 of the Management Services Agreement, which covers political advertising. And I know you don't have time for me to read.
Yeah,
those.
we're gonna have to talk about that one.
Yeah, maybe.
But,
interesting.
Why don't we shoot?
This is my concern: is that their contract is up for renewal at the end of June, and I don't want something on the agenda of the council on June 14th to just reapprove to give them another $50,000.
Right.
Understand.
I want the board. There's a board that has, it reads like the Signals Area of Top 51, or what is it that they run? You got Mark Winger, Robert Challenor, Ken Striplin, Joan Lucid, Robert Nolet, Bob Gibson, and Diane Van Hook on the board of the Santa Clarita Valley Television Authority. And they're the people that are supposed to be watching the coop down there at 14th and Railroad.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, Steve, unfortunately, we're out of time, but thanks a lot. Let's shoot maybe to have you on next week so we can follow up on this.
Or give him a couple weeks to get some answers. How's that sound, Steve?
Well, I thank you for your consideration, and I'm going to continue to monitor this situation.
All right. We'll have you on
Keep
this
us
event
posted.
warrant. Thanks, Steve. Steve Petzold, a concerned citizen with the whole Measure S. It's bled over from billboards to TV stations. What are you going to do?
Who knew?
All right. You listen to Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS, Santa Clarita's hometown station. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS, as Tom Petty fades into the sunlight. Anyway.
Wow, that was pretty cool. Can I make Doug fade into the
I always
sunlight?
wanted to be a DJ, one of those FM DJs. We're talking to you on a Friday afternoon. Anyway, this is the Gazette Radio Hour.
It's Love Line with Doug.
What was that one guy? Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
I wanted
no.
to do my imitation of what's his name? Jack.
Wolfman Jack?
Yeah, Wolfman Jack. Anyway,
That was it, huh?
that's it. It's good. That's all I got. Anyway, let's switch. Let's switch from city politics.
Oh, let's get serious now.
Yeah, to federal, or not federal, national. And we have our national correspondent on the line, Mr. Robert Patrick Lewis, the author of Love Me When I'm Gone. And the book coming out when? Next week is The Pact. The Pact.
Yeah, looks like Tuesday. It should be out by Tuesday.
Tuesday as in 3 days, 4 days?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. I'm gonna stay up late Tuesday night finishing it, I'm sure.
No, you're not.
Actually, I had most of the beta readers. I've got a group of guys and girls, that I sent out all my stuff to in advance to kind of give me notes. They all finished it within 48 hours.
Yeah.
Every
Really?
Great.
Well, my sister finished it in a day because she's my sister and she's a military wife, so she loves this stuff. But they all said, yeah, I couldn't put it down once I started. It's
Good.
just very, it's written. It takes place in a very short amount of time. It's the initial invasion that this kind of covers, and so it's just very fast paced, and so it just reads very quickly.
Oh man, this is not good. I got work to do.
This is more important. Sometimes you got to work on your soul, man.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Oh,
I'm a lawyer. I have no soul. Remember?
true enough.
I figured I had to say that before somebody else did.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, it would have come at some point.
Exactly. It's a preemptive strike. All right, so let's talk about your article in the Gazette for a second, okay?
Yep.
We had chatted earlier, a couple weeks ago, about the whole American Sniper movie and whether you had seen it and whether you'd read the book. Now, I will admit that I've read the book. I have not seen the movie, and that's probably. I hate reading a book and then going to see the movie because it's not the way I would have done it. So it's a little bit of a control freak thing in me. It never meets my expectations. But you wrote this incredible article about the book. I wanted to dissect it a little bit. The movie. I wanted to dissect it a little bit with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. Now, I understand, obviously, before we get started, because I'm not going to tease that you actually liked the movie. So you liked the movie, right?
I loved it.
Okay, good. I wanted to get that out because
Now,
there's...
John, let's give our listeners a background in case it's the first time they've ever heard Robert Patrick, what his background is.
Please do.
Or why don't you tell them real quick, Robert?
So my background, I guess, in the military, I come from a long line of military guys. I myself spent about 8 years in Special Forces. I was a Green Beret with 10th Special Forces Group, deployed to Iraq twice, Afghanistan twice, and North Africa.
Okay. Actually, did you go to college before you joined the military?
I did. 9/11 happened while I was in college, and I come from a long line of military officers. They all said, hey, who's going to be around for a while? So I joined the delayed entry program, which allowed me to finish my college degree, although I was officially in the Army already.
Right.
So within a month of walking across the stage to graduate, I was in infantry basic training.
Ah, very cool. Okay. Sorry, I was just... hey, wait a minute. I should ask that question. All right. So it was one of those... It's interesting to hear a veteran's take on a movie about a veteran. I thought that was very interesting. It's like going to talk to a doctor about a medical show or a lawyer about a lawyer show. We get that all the time. And you said something in the article about how people were complaining that the book was ghostwritten and it wasn't quite it wasn't Chris Kyle. Chris Kyle is the American Sniper. I'm sure people have probably heard all that by now. But you did indicate that there were a lot of complaints that it was so far removed from his own words. Did you notice that in the movie too?
I'm not sure what they did, but there's 2-3 dozen movies that have come out about the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts by this point. And every single one of them, I had the same complaint as does every military guy I watched the movie with, and that their advisors are horrible, right? Because you see this, and you just see mistake after mistake, where the terminology they use is wrong, the way they do things like, maintain their weapons or clear houses or very fundamental aspects of military life they get wrong. American Sniper, I don't know who it was, but it was spot on.
Okay,
spot on. Absolutely spot on. And so I don't know if that came from that book because, again, I had to make an apology in the article as a military author. It's kind of my bad that I haven't read the book yet, but I don't read other military authors. I don't read other military books while I'm writing my own because I don't want to consciously plagiarize.
Exactly. It's too easy to do. That's completely understandable.
So your contention, Robert, is it's a very authentic, realistic portrayal of what happens over there.
Extremely. And there's only two. Restrepo and now American Sniper are the only two I recommend to people because they are so true to form.
Now, your main point of the article in the Gazette this week, well, a lot of it was the emotions that Chris Kyle went through, and you could really relate to those emotions, particularly when you were at home on leave.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. I teach a combat therapy writing class, a writing therapy class for combat veterans with PTSD in the West Los Angeles VA at their PTSD clinic, the post clinic.
Right.
And we talked about that all day yesterday because it's such a big thing that he never says one word in the movie about it, but the way they portrayed it was spot on. I mean, spot on. Exactly the way I felt it. And he and I had the same kind of thing where we were bouncing just one deployment after the other. I had about 4 years I was deployed straight, and so I kind of know the same feeling where you're back home for a month between deployments and you're not comfortable. You're not comfortable.
You brought up some interesting points. I mean, things that people who aren't in that world, and I use world with fake air quotes because I think it's we're all in the same world, but you're in a different section of it that we don't get to deal with. The whole special ops thing. I was fascinated with your thoughts about the getting the bad guy in a happy ending, and not getting the bad guy and feeling like you've still have a mission out there and feeling uncomfortable about that. Can you explain that to us a little bit more? Because I was fascinated with that entire dichotomy that you have to go through.
Yeah, and and it's an amazing thing. I remember, I highly suggest this book, On Killing, to everybody that I meet. It's by Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. He was an Army Ranger that got out and he got a psychiatry degree, realized there was no academic work on the effects of killing another human being, and so he wrote one. It's on killing. It's on soldiers and how he desensitized. And it's just such a huge thing where even if you don't kill somebody, but you are trained and prepared and mentally have done it, it can have the same effects on your soul and your psyche. And so it's this really big thing that it does to us, that it does to different people. So, as special operations, we don't just get a mission from somebody else. We create our own mission.
Right.
And that's one of the things that separates us. We get an AO. So for me, an ODA at 12 guys would get this huge expanse of Afghanistan along the Pakistani border, and that's our area. We own it. We go in there. It's our job to figure out who the bad guys are, target which bad guys we want, get to know them, know their patterns, know every horrible deed they've done, target them, tell our hires, hey, we're going to get this guy tonight, and then go get him. Well, sometimes it works out well and you get him because it's a very big sense of relief, because it's not just, we accomplished a mission. That's a horrible human being that does bad things to people, and we either killed him or got him off the street and he's in prison. Sometimes you go 4, 5, 6 times to go hit this guy, and they're not there because they have a very sophisticated network to know, there's not a lot of highways in Afghanistan. Iraq is the same way, where they have very sophisticated networks and early warning systems built for guys that are high value. And you don't get them, man. I mean, your world is kind of rocked because you missed this guy, and he's out there. And then you come home, and you can't be comfortable because he's there.
Yeah.
All right, we're up against a break. Robert, can you hang on for the break?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're listening to Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS, Santa Clarita's hometown station. We'll be back with Robert Patrick Lewis, our national correspondent.